Day 1, Friday the 11th of July. We arrive in Johannesburg, South Africa, at 6:30am, bleary-eyed after an overnight flight from London. We're here to record appeal and feedback films for Soccer Aid 2008, a televised charity football match. At Joburg, we meet the rest of the film crew, who are all very experienced. Steve Cole, the director, has just produced a documentary on filmmaker Werner Herzog for BBC One. His past highlights include an omnibus special on Aardman's animated classic, Chicken Run. Richard Kruger, our cameraman, has worked on similar appeal films for Comic Relief and American Idol Gives Back, including a piece on children who live on the railways in India. Hilton Orfrey, our sound man, has just finished a feature film and is about to start a global health documentary for BBC World. My job is to gather materials for the website, including photographs, interviews, case studies, and this journal. While things are looking good on the crew front, the logistical side is another matter entirely. We'd expected to spend the morning at Johannesburg Airport before flying on to Umtata in the afternoon, but our connecting flight is cancelled. We'll have to spend the night in Joburg and catch a 6am morning flight. It's really frustrating. We're only in South Africa for 4 days, and we're spending an entire day at the airport. Day 2, Saturday the 12th of July. We struggle up at 4am to catch our 6am flight to Umtata. We're flying in the smallest plane I've ever been in. 30 seats in a tiny fuselage, like a missile with oversized propellers. On the plus side, it does mean that we get to see sunrise from the air. It's an amazing view as the vast African plains and mountains are gradually lit up by the rising sun. The airport we land at is equally tiny, with only one other plane covered in a layer of early morning ice. At Umtata, we meet Heidi and Nikki from UNICEF South Africa and pile into their vans for a 2-hour drive through the Transkei to our destination, the township of Nodo Nodo Square. It's a truly magnificent landscape, with vast red earth plains and great carved plateaus reminiscent of the Grand Canyon. Soon after 9am, we arrive at the convent, which acts as the local headquarters for the project we're visiting. Run by Isabindi, a local NGO set up by the National Association of Childcare Workers, which receives support from UNICEF, the project involves providing child and youth care workers to children who have lost their parents to HIV and AIDS. If it wasn't for Isabindi, the older children would be looking after their younger siblings without any financial or emotional support. Recently, Isabindi has also built a safe park, which they're very proud of. It's a fenced-off, supervised area which provides a safe environment for children to learn and play. While we're learning about this from the Isabindi project managers, Smangali and Lugamil, we become aware of a drum beat outside the convent. Apparently the local children have prepared a welcome dance for us. We ask if they can wait a few minutes while we set up the film equipment. This is too good an opportunity to miss. We then film the children dancing down the street in gold and silver headdresses and into the safe park, while locals watch from the surrounding fields and houses. Once in the safe park, more kids crowd around in excitement to watch the filming. We notice some children watching the show from the top of a climbing frame, so Yvonne and I climb up too. I get some great aerial shots of the playground and also of the dozens of children around us, all of whom want their photo taken. After the safe park, we head into the town to film the Butchingi family. Nosizwe, the mother, is HIV positive and disfigured from a fire some years ago. She used to be very ill and the children had to skip school to look after her. Now, an Isabindi child and youth care worker, Claudissa, visits the family every day. She helps Nosizwe stay well by taking her medication correctly and eating well, which allows the children to go back to school. Claudissa also helps out around the home and provides emotional support for the children. The Butchingi family are clearly very poor. They live in a small wooden shack with cracks filled with plastic bags, lacking even the basic facilities we can see in some of the other homes. Despite this, and the other hardships they faced, the children are incredibly happy and outgoing. They race cars ingeniously constructed from wires and old tin cans. We give them Soccer Aid t-shirts and an England football, and they hardly need any encouragement to start kicking it around, which proves an excellent photo shoot. Afterwards, we interview the family and the care worker. Nosizwe has been incredibly brave to disclose her HIV status, given the stigma that still surrounds HIV and AIDS in South Africa, and braver still to let us into her home to film all of this. It's quite humbling. I feel enormously privileged to be here, meeting these remarkable people.
Ndaye ndathi kusuka kwamphaya ndaqoba akunceda uba ndiyifihle le nto ndinayo ngoba omhlambi ayizundinika bomu.
After I was diagnosed as HIV positive, I decided that it is not something I should keep it confidential or to treat this as a secret, but I felt that I must inform my family members, and after that I informed the child and youth care workers. I'm not afraid to tell other people about my status.
When the light starts to fade, we head back to our guest house in Elliot, run by an elderly Afrikaans couple. Although it was relatively warm in the sunshine in the afternoon, after dark it quickly drops to well below freezing. There's no heating, but it's warm in the dining room thanks to a roaring log fire. Before dinner, I interview Heidi from UNICEF South Africa about her work with children affected by HIV and AIDS.
I think that one of the biggest things is just that we know Isibindi is pretty effective and they've reached over 5,000 children, but one of the biggest difficulties is we've got over 2 million orphans, who are needing care, and we don't know that they're being reached, and many of those are living on their own, so we want to be sure that they are being reached, not just identified, but really cared for. So it's not just kind of making sure they've got school uniforms, but actually helping them get through school,
Yes.
and not just have a plate of food each day, but that the food is nutritious and that will sustain them through their childhood. And not just that somebody comes to the house to see if they're okay, but somebody who has a real relationship with them and can trust them, and can help them work through their loss and grief and not carry that for the rest of their lives.
By the time we finished eating, I'm shattered, so I go to bed and read a bit of David Attenborough's autobiography, a reminder that field trips can be a lot tougher than ours. Luckily, I'm saved from hypothermia by an electric blanket, although I can't help but think what it must be like for the people back in the township. It's another busy day tomorrow, so tune in and find out what happens next. This is Andy Brown reporting for UNICEF UK.